Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. And thank you so much for joining us for the last day of the Build Up Week before the Athena Hackathon, which is tomorrow. I'm really excited and also super excited to be here and be joined by Rhea and Clara from our amazing sponsor, SaltPay. Who will be giving this webinar. And just a quick note before I pass this on, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And or if you think any questions retrospectively as well, you can post them on Discord and we can make sure they get answered there. And yeah, that's it for me. So Rhea, I will pass it on to you now.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone tuning in right now. It's a pleasure for Clara and I to be here and give this talk. This is my very first one, so it should be exciting. But as Egle said, my name is Rhea. I'm a data analyst, both of us working at SaltPay. It's a fintech company, and yeah, we work in basically data, which is pretty cool. This is my first job as well. So I've been learning a lot in my work, and some of the stuff that I do is like building dashboards and analyzing for the business stakeholder, building cool objects to then query out, basically nerd stuff, I guess. But yeah, that's me. So I've lived in 5 countries. That's a fun fact, I guess. This is the fifth. I've been traveling the world thanks to my family and their work. And yeah, I've done a bachelor's and master's. That's me. So, Clara, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, let's go. So, my name is Clara. I'm from Brazil. Now I'm live in Portugal and Porto, and I work with Rhea in the data team. We have a little bit different jobs. She's more data analyst, and I work more like a data engineering analyst. And my jobs have a little dashboards too, but mostly I deal with transformation in data, understanding the integrations that we have, and provide good data for the analysts, for data science, or for any part of the company that needs information from the data team. So it's a little bit about us. So we are here to talk a little bit about women in tech and about how we get here and what was our experience to be in a data team in an tech world that we are today.
Absolutely. Yeah, so before we even get into that, I do want to thank um, once again the event coordinators and everybody who made Athena Hackathon happen. It's a great opportunity, I think, and it's wonderful that it's bringing a community of women in from all kinds of backgrounds, tech and non-tech, to kind of just experience what it's like. And we're completely supportive of it because I think having a community of women in a very male-dominated industry makes it feel very happy and like more safe and comfortable than feeling lonelier. It can get lonely sometimes, but to see a wonderful sea of women, a whole community coming here to do this today and for the weekend is just amazing. So that's why we're here. So hopefully you can take some key takeaways from our experiences, and I can start it off. So, like I said, this is my first job. Um, I've been working as a data analyst for 9 months, and it's been a pleasure so far. Like Clara mentioned, we have a slightly, I mean, very much in the same field, but slightly different roles. I haven't fully indulged in the engineering side yet, but I'm hoping to, which will be really fun. Um, but the way I got into tech, I think very much started from when I was a kid. I think I don't know how many can relate, but I actually started off taking IT in school, and it was so fun. But I mean, school IT is very different from university and work IT, right? And IT is like such a vast thing to do, and like you don't even know where to start. But I've always had support from my parents, my father being one that pushed me into that direction, I would say. So he always mentioned that, if you make it there, you've made it in the right place. It's the future and all of that. So I kind of grew up in that kind of environment. My mother actually did a bachelor's in computer science, sorry, a master's in computer science back in the day. So she was also a very like supportive, like into programming, but she was more into the developing side than the analytics side. But then I went on to do a business information systems course, so that's business comp sci essentially. Um, where we kind of I think it was a balance, I would say, of everything I needed to know back then for my undergrad. And then I went on to do a master's in data science, which was probably one of the best decisions I've made, because I'm very, very passionate about data science, and deep learning. So that's how I got into tech. What about you, Clara?
So, like you said, I think that we are we start when we are kids. I'm a little bit older than Rhea, but my parents always incentivized me to use a computer in the beginning, and then I started working in business, like in insurance companies. But like I told to Rhea other day, when I started, I didn't know that I was a data analyst, and I started working like more with business, and then I start working with coding and SQL and understanding data information. And when I saw, oh, I am a data analyst, and what happened, and was amazing to have this knowledge about the role that the job that you are really doing. And then I'm started to specialize myself into data, into the technologies and all the things that we need to improve our knowledge in the technology. And the technologies changed. We started using like Excel, and now we have a lot of other stuff in the cloud. And it says a little bit about my age when we talk about it. But now I'm excited to work with the data engineer and the data analytics. And like Rhea said, the the the, the data science part is so interesting too. It's like a totally different world that we work today. But I think that this possibility to have new knowledge and have different roles from where we are today, that's excited me to be there, to work every day with like happiness in what we are doing. It's a
Yeah.
little bit about my past and my present.
Well, that's great, Clara. I mean, yeah, I agree completely, right? It's also it's insane how you kind of get into data at this day and age without realizing you're in data, because data is kind of like all around you, and it doesn't matter who you are, like non-binary, a woman, a man. It does not matter who you are at the end of the day. You just work with data one way or another. Whether you're an analyst or a completely non-technical person, you kind of have to deal with information, and that's what data is at the end of the day, right? Just a lot of information and trying to make sense of it. Um, I completely agree. I think things are always changing, like you mentioned, and you always have to upskill, which is very important, and it can get very overwhelming at times. I mean, some of the So obviously this being my first role, I was always excited to have my first role in analytics, and that's been my dream since I was like probably 15 or something. So like I'm kind of living the dream now, as one says. But there were a lot of assumptions, or like a lot of, I would say, uh, thoughts I had before entering. I was very much afraid of the standard that I'd have to live up to, which is not necessarily always the case. And I think SaltPay's made it very easy to kind of transition into it. Whether you have just degree knowledge or you have years of experience, I think they kind of cater to every kind of level, and they kind of give you that space to kind of grow as a person in your career. So like I was afraid, oh, if I'm gonna be uh in a very like male dominated team where it's just me. Well, it's not the case. I think we've got a few other women in our team, which is great, and a lot more supportive of each other. And I think even the in everyone in our data team has been really supportive. I only have praise for them. One, because I think everybody tries to help everybody out, which was definitely killing the myth I had about no one really helps anybody at early stages. Everybody's trying to kind of grow, and they're just kind of doing their own thing. Um, my
And I
experience to that was very different. But yeah, go on, Clara. What were you saying?
no, I want to say that it's I think that's a different thing from the other jobs that we have in tech, that
Absolutely.
we most of people try to support each other. I think it's very important, and I think that's really happened in the tech, and with the woman that we have inside our team, it's it happens mostly, and I think it's really interesting that have because I started working in with out of the tech, and it was totally different when I get into the tech team, the IT team. I saw that it's really collaborative team and collaborative people at all, and like today we have a lot of open sources softwares, and the community
It's
try
endless.
to help each other and create new things without need to pay. And it's really interesting how could everything could grow up faster because of this spirit of community that we have in IT.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think when we're talking about a community, right, it doesn't matter if you're a software developer or an engineer or a data analyst, a data scientist. At the end of the day, there are like a few things we'd all have in common in our work. Such as pair coding. That's something I've always wanted to do, and I've never personally experienced it, but I hope to one day. I've heard so many good things about pair coding, and what pair coding essentially is just it's two people working on one kind of code, and it's the idea of it is brilliant because you're not just kind of fixated on you fixing this, but you're working with another person coming from another background, from another perspective, coming in and trying to make this code work together, and what you may not have thought somebody else would have thought, or the other way around. And I think it's crazy. Like, it's amazing what you could do. And like Laura said, there's so many open sources that's for free, you don't have to pay. There's so many online courses to this day and age, and I know I use that even if I had a degree. Like for me, out of just wanting to grow in my career, I've done a lot outside of just working and studying, which was a lot more to do with courses that I thought were interesting. And it doesn't have to be technical, right? I mean, yes, I've done technical courses like deep learning and in AI, because I want to learn more and I want to be in that space. But there was the amazing thing was I didn't even think I would be here as an analyst working at a fintech. My goals were very different. I wanted to work in healthcare, and I still want to, but I'm happy to trust the process, if that makes sense. Like, I'm here to learn. I'm here to get the experience, whatever that experience is. And SaltPay is very good at just giving you the creative freedom to have kind of dip your toes in a different environment, I'd say. Um, in terms of like just okay, you want to be an analyst, you want to move into being a data scientist, here's a way to go about it, here are some mentors you could work with, etc., right? And I wanted, like, my long-term goals is are like to work with refugees and help them out, and build a system where we can kind of help them relocate rather than kind of run and find safe spaces in different countries. That's the end goal. But to get there, I'm happy to trust the process and work in as many companies as I can and work in as many fields as I can, just to get that experience, because I don't think data can ever get boring. I mean, that's just me personally. I don't know about you, Clara, but like
Totally.
every day is it's a different story. It's just you're working on something and you think that's it to it, but there's always another layer, and there's always something new that comes out. Could be a new programming language, could be a new uh mathematical, not mathematical, but like a algorithm that they would have found or something. Just you're just learning every day, and it just never stops. But it doesn't have to be boring learning, like a whiteboard, a classroom learning, right? It's learn at your own pace, and I think that's exactly why I love being here. I love being around like-minded people that are in tech and in data, just because no 2 days are the same. I mean, that's what I think. What about you?
No, I totally agree with it. And it's not just the technologies or new math things that you learn, but it's about the business. You are today in a company and you have a lot of things to learn about how it works, how the business works, and how we can understand data with this knowledge of the business. And like you said in the beginning, data is everywhere. So each kind of business, each kind of company, we can extract information. We have data, and today we're working with a type of data, and tomorrow with a B type of data, and it's so important to have this background knowledge. So many people ask me, oh, how you get in data, how I can get into data. So it's the most important thing for me. I think that's the background for life that we have. It's really important. Maybe you already have worked in a company, in a business, with anything about data or anything about IT and tech, but this knowledge that you have, it's really important because I don't have the same knowledge, and we can complement each other in a team. Like we have like friends in work that have different backgrounds and can complement all the knowledge that we have about the data, and like create a view for a business team. So with someone that have this background in business could be really important to improve the thing. So we can see it's not just the tech people that work with math, and it's always in front of a computer doing code and doing code. All the background and all the knowledge of life, it's important for it. I think that's it's a really important point for understand the tech world, because it's too much more than code and do reports or things like that. You agree,
Yeah,
Rhea?
absolutely. Like, I mean, I think there's a misconception. I mean, all the TV shows and movies show this. So, like, I grew up thinking, I really, like, when I was a kid, I mean, I was a kid, and I thought, okay, me learning how to code and doing all those cool hacking skills that you see women and men do was the norm. Like, that was what I considered cool. Like, for example, I don't know how many of you've watched this TV show called Arrow, or Suits, a lawyer
Mm.
show. And the female leads in there weren't my like motivation at one point, because I was like, I want to be them. Forget what they're doing or where they're from. Their confidence, their attitude towards working in such a competitive industry, and uh in a very like male dominated world, and to be there and be somebody, right? And you don't necessarily have to be a tech person, like Clara said. It's like, I feel like the common misconception is you need to code to be in tech, and I would r- like strongly disagree with that, because coding is just, I would say, the surface of getting into tech. It's There are so many things you could do without actually coding. For example, dashboarding. You can go online and learn a few courses, and I feel like Tableau, which is something that we use in this company, is very user friendly. So it's easier to pick up on that. And if you really put the effort to like learn it and, try and improve, you can be an analyst too, like a business analyst. Honestly, it's as easy as that. Not that I'm saying dashboarding is easy, it takes time, and I definitely think it takes a lot of practice to create stories out of these dashboards, right? But to break that barrier getting in, you don't have to code. If coding intimidates you, which I can imagine can be sometimes, I know it intimidates me sometimes. I'm not the most confident coder out there, but I have people that are very supportive and, always trying to help me code. Um, but coding also doesn't have to be intimidating. I honestly think getting into tech is now easier at this day and age because of the resources we have and the kind of access we have to these resources for free. Um, it's like uh, it can get overwhelming because there's limitless possibilities of what you can do, right? I think it's just kind of like you're gonna have to figure it out. Try different things, see what works, what doesn't. And there is no like you need to learn coding in this amount of time to be an expert. Absolutely not. I feel like anybody who codes or builds a dashboard or does transformations or does any kind of mathematic calculations to solve a problem, it would take not just the learning knowledge you do on your own, but rather the experience you could do through projects. And that's the only way you'd learn. And you'd learn from people, like Clara said, from people that are not necessarily in tech as well. Because even just because you're tech, a business does not run just on tech. We're like, I would say, we're like a piece of the entire machine that helps a whole machine run, right? To become a well-oiled machine. That's truly what we are in tech. There's a lot of work that goes in different ways, whether it's to make a website look pretty or whether it's to tell how the business is doing. You definitely need a lot of technical skills to make it work, and that includes just understanding how to do processing, or like, build processes, or what are the strategies and what are the key metrics. That is not decided by somebody in data necessarily. I think it's a collaborative thing. Somebody that has the expertise to be able to build that kind of process to reach from A to Z, and then using tech in parallel to collaborate together to get to A to Z is how I would see tech to this day and age, right? So trying to break into tech can get very overwhelming, and that's completely valid to feel. And there's so many resources you don't know where to start. But from personal experience, I think me talking to people around me, tech and non-tech, has helped me kind of understand what I want to do. And then it comes down to, what do you really want to do? Does that involve tech? Even if it doesn't, does that need the help of tech? Probably, maybe. I think you need tech to this day and age, but you don't have to be an expert in something like Java or Python. Um, to be able to kind of break into the world of tech. Yes, it's good to know that kind of skills, but you will always only learn on the job, and that's something I've taken away from the last 9 months. I mean, I don't know, Clara, if you have a similar experience to that, but
No, totally. We are always learning every day in the job. We start a job thinking, oh, I know this thing and this thing, and every day that passes, you have a new knowledge about a new technology, because like you said, we have a, a different kinds of technologies that do the same things, and sometimes it's difficult to choose what you're gonna use in the company. So it's impossible for you to get in a new role or a new job knowing everything about this tech that the company use. You learn in day a day. So we have the basic knowledge about how it works, and then when you are doing the job, you are learning every day. I have certainly that I learned like in this 6 months that I'm SaltPay, like
Absolutely.
for 1 year studying, and we using the technology and being in a role. It makes all the difference when we are knowing and learning.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
and how to study these technologies, I think that's it's the big point, like you said, like understand what you really like in tech, where you could fit in this so big world, so how many different roles and different teams that we have inside a tech team, that uh, one of these teams could fit you. So and it's the future. It's impossible to negate this. The tech is the future, and we be part of it. For me, it's a pleasure, and I'm always trying to pick up everyone that wants to be in tech, because mostly women on it, because we need more women in
Yeah.
tech teams.
Yeah.
But we're not alone. We have other colleagues that are with us, but we need to grow this team of women in tech, and because we know the power that we have, and the how can I say, the spirit of being together, so difficult for us, and many and many years of male in the power. So we are here like just brave in this tech world, and being like a little bit doing a little bit different that they already done. So I think
Yeah,
that's it's a challenger every day for us, like women. Like to be a woman, it's like a challenger, and be a woman in tech is like a double challenger, like daily.
absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with everything you've said, especially about being a woman and then being a woman in tech. I know it can get very overwhelming. I mean, for example, on a day-to-day, I work some of the projects I do, like I was explaining, you don't have to be a tech person, but I work with the finance team, but I also work with the people team. That's two different extremes, right? There's the numbers playing in the finance, and with the people team, we're trying to understand how to do better for our employees. I mean, that like difference right there is should tell you like the infinite number of possibilities you can do with just being in tech. And um in terms of like trying to break into tech, I know there are some resources like Udemy, Coursera, um I personally love Udemy and DataCamp, DataCamp especially, and also Kaggle. Uh, why? Because Kaggle is where I go to do projects or learn or kind of like replicate people's code that people have done to fix a problem. Because they just kind of put up projects and they're like, here's the problem, and then there's so many different entries from so many different people doing so many different ways to solve the problem. It's insane. And I love DataCamp because I kind of broke in, even doing a master's, I use DataCamp as reference to kind of practice the skills I've learned in coding, and I was confident by the end of it, you know? There's so much you can do with DataCamp and Udemy. I felt like I learned a lot more theoretical and practical for sure, because they would always do a bit of theory, a bit of practical to kind of complement that theory. Next chapter, yeah. So like that's how I kind of that was some of the breaking in tools I did whilst I was doing my degrees. Despite being in tech, I feel like these resources are open to anybody that wants to kind of take the step in and get into tech, you know, the little stuff. I never did Tableau um in my entire life, nor did I learn how to do visualization in dashboarding. I did a bit in R and a bit in Python, but never as a have I used a visualization tool like Power BI or Tableau up until I started working. And the irony of that was that I actually prepped myself before even getting this job, um because I wanted to learn how to use one of these tools. I was like, I'm going to learn how to do Tableau. And I went to Udemy. I feel like they're always on sale, so courses can get very cheap. I think I spent like £9 maybe, not even. And I did two courses. One was beginner in Tableau and one was advanced in Tableau. And they literally teach you like you knew nothing. A lot of these courses, the best part of all these courses that you do, or the things like in data camp that you code, they just assume you have no technical skills. And that gives you the confidence to kind of start from scratch without having the expectation to know things. Obviously, there are courses that are a little more advanced that expect you to have some prerequisites, and that's okay. I mean, that's your, you can take it at your level, and that's the beauty of tech and breaking into tech. Um, Honestly, I agree with what Clara said. You know, we need a lot more women in tech. I think as STEM, we're getting there. We're definitely much better than we were probably 10 years ago. Yes, and I think a lot more women are being encouraged to, and it's wonderful to see, but we have so much more work to do. Being a woman in STEM can get very difficult because it is a competitive industry. And sometimes it's not even anybody else. We can be our own enemies because we can be our own enemies of progress because we're so afraid and we're so negative that everybody's out to not help us. And that can also kind of deprecate how we would perform in our careers because we're not focusing on the I want to learn bit. We're focusing on the everybody's out here to put me down like I don't belong here. And it can very much feel that way. And that's not a wrong feeling, but it's always good to kind of self-reflect. I do that sometimes. I get anxious sometimes, of the work I do. I'm not very confident. But having a community, whether that's necessarily a community of just women or just a community of your close people that you trust, always have a good support system around you to kind of remind you why you're here because they've seen you struggle, they've seen you work. Um, and it's lovely to see. Sometimes the reality of it, and I don't think we talk about this enough, is women are women's competition. And I say this because I've seen people that they're so brilliant and they could work together, but they don't because they think, because we're kind of pitted against each other to get that step up. You know, we've been given that environment sometimes to be able to actually have to compete with one another, which is really sad because sometimes that is not the environment you want to be in. Actually, you don't want to be in an environment where you're pitted against each other. You want to be in an environment where you're being able to go like, "Oh, hey, I need your help. I've been stuck on this for a few days. Um, can you please help me out? I'm struggling with this." And the other person goes, "Sure." I mean, that's the kind of culture we have at SaltPay. Clara has helped me with one of my most challenging projects. Um, and I've learned so much SQL from her. Not that I didn't have any SQL knowledge, but I learned so much from her experience of her SQL knowledge. And together we actually built something pretty cool. And it was amazing because we didn't really care that we were two women in this competitive industry. We were like, you're here to help me and I'm here to help you. And that being said, it's not just about the women in our team that are helpful. There are so many members of my analytics team, there are some engineers that I'm friends with, like I know I can go to them if I need help. Some people in the data science team that are also very we're just collaborative. And I would, for anybody that's in tech, my only advice was to be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Not everybody's running the same race, not everybody's on the same level. Learn and teach, learn what you know, learn what you want to know, and teach what you know to people that need it. Always create a space where they can approach you. I think it can get intimidating sometimes if you give off the "you can't approach me" vibe, and I've had that, not just in my 8 months, 9 months working here, but also in my degree. We were a class of, or 2 degrees, might I add. We were a class of 50 kids in my bachelor's, and out of that, I think there were seven women. And in my department, we were 4 women and I think about 20, 25 to 30 men. But I had ups and downs with that. I had the most supportive male colleagues that helped me achieve my goals and, ace my degree. And there were people that didn't think I belonged there. I wasn't there to prove to anybody um or validate to anybody the importance of me being there, because I'm not running this race for anybody but myself. And I think the minute you stop seeking for external validation and look for something for why you want to be here is when you start growing as a person and in your career. So always be collaborative, be kind, be approachive, always try helping out, and also try and learn from that person something that you may not know, because like Clara always has been saying throughout the entire time, you know, it's always it's always two different perspectives, if not more. You sit in a room, everyone will have a very different opinion and common opinions, but very different backgrounds, very different ways of approach to thinking and solving a problem. And coming together makes it easier because you'll be building something really cool at the end of the day. And that's what it means to be part of a community. And having more women in this community would be so amazing, because I think we belong here as much as men do. And that's how it is. We definitely belong here as much as men do. And if anybody tells you otherwise, then you know what? That's their problem. You don't have to prove anything to them. Your self-worth is not dependent on them, nor is it dependent on the race you're running, because your self-worth is what makes you happy. And if belonging to tech or getting into tech is something you're interested in, please, please, please just reach out. I'm gonna share my LinkedIn here. So please feel free to reach out and connect. And I'm happy to have conversations. Tell me what you think. Tell me how your experience is going. I'm happy to learn, because I'm here to learn and I'm here to collaborate. At the end of the day. So yeah, that's how I feel. How about you, Clara?
Oh, I totally agree with what you said, and especially sometimes that we are not so confident in what we do. So I think that it's always have this problem, and always we have to think about it. Why I'm playing against me. No, I'm capable to be wherever I want, and like you said, in a community like we are, in the place in this company like we are, we have a space to ask someone for help, and I'm pretty sure that. If one person could help because it have a lot of work, another one could, and we already did jobs together, and when I teach you a little bit about SQL, I learned a little bit more about how is it difficult that people that are starting in SQL, and maybe when I could help other people, I say, oh, I remember the experience that I have had with you about teaching you something, and could be better in the my next teaching for someone. So I think, oh, I know a little bit, know like a good way. I know SQL, but we always learning something new. And I think is it. I will share my LinkedIn too, and I'm here for everyone that who wants to have a conversation about tech, about data, about woman or anything else. I think that's part of the community to know more and more people in the technical areas and have more experience, more different backgrounds. Like we already said, that it's the lovely thing about tech. To not just numbers, not just code, but people that makes the tech, people that makes the code, and people that makes the existence of everything. So I'm here. If I can help anyone to be part of it, it's be my pleasure. I will send my LinkedIn in the chat too.
Yeah, thank you, Clara. I mean, to just kind of close it up, feel free. I think as women, we should encourage other women to follow, if they're interested to get in tech and help each other. Some ways we can do that is I think LinkedIn, I found some really cool women that I follow. Um, and they're also in tech and they have their own communities. I think building your own community within your companies or within your universities or wherever you are, wherever you are and you have like-minded individuals that are interested in breaking into tech. I think building that community within yourselves first and then growing and just always speaking and asking for help, whether it's online or in person, that is the best way to really get into this community. And I think it's a wonderful community where everybody does try and help when you need it. I think that's it from us right now. But if you have any question and answers, please feel free to ask.
Cool. So first of all, thank you so much both, and it was really amazing to hear your experience and especially how passionate you guys are about what you do, and the kind of the support system and the importance of that. So yeah, that was great. Thanks so much both. And we actually have a question in the chat, and somebody has asked if you have any kind of tips or advice for someone who is trying to get their foot in the door when it comes to getting their very first job in the tech industry.
Yeah. Clara, do you want to go first?
Okay, I think that the first thing that I can think about it, is the first step, is to understand where you belong in the tech. Like try to have an overview about the tech. We have a lot of different roles and different technologies. Try to understand what you like there, what you most like. Maybe you prefer data or dev part or UX part, and understand the whole world. I think that's a good first step for you to could engage in tech. So then you know where you belong, and then try to find some courses like Rhea already said, and try to, we have like free, like a lot of free courses or not too expensive courses that can help you to understand the basically and maybe more advanced, and starting this understanding of the whole of the what technologies you need. And we have a lot of documentations and blogs and things that could be really helpful to deep it inside the role or the team that you think that you belong. I think that's, for me, it's like the tip that I can give.
Yeah, I mean, I to just complement what Clara said, I think you've got the resources. But so I think my first advice, and this is speaking from experience, of course, you don't have to follow the same way. The way I kind of broke into tech because I wanted to be in tech, but I didn't know where I wanted to be um, when I was getting into it. I wanted to be in analytics and I wanted to kind of do this whole analyzing data, but like it was very vague. I had no idea. I wasn't the most confident coder, but I also definitely knew that I didn't enjoy the software developing side of things or the engineering side of things. And I kind of picked that up in school, but you don't have to be doing a course in school to be able to figure this out. The way I did it was I actually the way I found my path, to be very honest, was TED Talks. And I know it sounds insane, but there's so many. But I think I found this really cool one where it was just a visualization, and it was like this cool animation of a visualization of the kind of weather storms that happened across the years. And it was this like really cool movement with like a scatter plot going on, and I was like, wow, I want to do that. Like that, it was as simple as that. That was it. That got me in. And then it was the drive to be able to pursue that, you know? For me, it was TED Talks and speaking to people, and also a bit of an experience from what I did like and didn't like, even while I was at uni, doing courses. I realized quickly that I really like the business aspect of things, which is why I was like, I can combine my technical skills with that and join the analytics side of things. Um, and then I did a thesis on machine learning, which then drove me further into data science, etc. But the first step into breaking is TED Talks, YouTube, the simple stuff, right? Things that you can actually just access. Forget all the courses you want to do. I think that's the second step, like Clara said. Once you figure out really where you really want to break into, because tech is so big, it's so massive. Like I said, it can get very overwhelming, but it's the talks, it's the books, you know? Maybe if you're not much of a person to watch videos, read the books. Like there are so many books on tech, and they're like, what, it's tech, but they're very non-technical stories, or non-fiction stories that come in. For example, there's one that I'm about to read, called Statistics for Data and Why That's the Future. And I'm excited to read that because somebody recommended that to me, and it was somebody who was not in the tech industry. It was completely, I mean, the title gives it away, thinking it's very mathematical. It is very mathematical, but it's a very like simplified version of data and math. And that's insane because, there's so many resources in books and like TED Talks and YouTube. There are some people I follow that also give advice into breaking into tech, whether that's in analytics or data science or SQL or engineering. I'm gonna put their names in the chat as well. You can find them on LinkedIn, and they have YouTube channels and podcasts. So if you're a podcast person, check these guys out. Um, um, yeah, I mean, that's about it. Like, I think my advice would be to start watching videos, or, reading something that you found interesting. It could be an article. You don't have to read a whole book even. It could be just an article in something in tech. And it takes time. I want you to be patient with yourself, because it's not easy to follow, to really understand where you belong. It took me a good 6 years before I could, I would say. So, oh, I don't know if I'm stuck or not.
No,
Okay, sorry.
go on.
No,
Yeah, so my screen's stuck, so hopefully I don't get stuck. But yeah, those are some of the tips I have to say, is read an article or a YouTube video, or any of that things, and hopefully that should help you kind of ease into finding your path into tech, if that's something that interests you.
that's great. Thanks again, both of you, so much for
Thank you so
your
much.
tips and for the advice. I think that's really useful, and yeah, that's all been shared in the YouTube chat as well. And I can't see any more questions at the moment, but I think, as mentioned in the beginning, people can always kind of have a little think and then just send their questions on Discord, and they can get answered that way. And of course, as well, they can go on and follow the SaltPay Hub, where I'm sure there'll be some interesting things coming up soon as well. And yeah, so again, thank you so much both. And I really look forward to seeing you at the hackathon, which is tomorrow. I can't believe it. It's very,
I
very
know,
exciting.
very exciting.
Yeah,
I'm
so
excited too.
yeah, brilliant. I'm glad to hear that. And yeah, I hope everyone else who's watching, hopefully see you tomorrow at the hack too. And yeah, have an amazing day, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank,
guys.
thank you
Thank you.
guys for the opportunity to be here. Thank you
Yes,
very
thank you.
much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.